I look at my mom, I'm like, that's my superhero, because she's been with me through it all. She's never talked badly about my father. She made it known that my father was the best thing that's happened to her. She's like, Louis was the best thing that happened to me. I loved Louis for the time that I had with him. I loved him that he was there for me, but I love him more because he gave me a gift before he left this world, which was you. And I would break down. I'd be like, Mom. Medina. I am 16 years old and I am the daughter of Louis Medina, or as people know him as Malo, I go to Philadelphia's military academy. I'm currently a sophomore. I rank as a sergeant right now. And I just got inducted into the National Honor Society, so I'm waiting for my cord on that. It's supposed to be like a tan cord that I'm gonna get. It'll accompany to my Class A uniform. I've actually done a lot of things in the past few months. I actually did a video for Temple because they wanted to do a video with us to sponsor our school, and I just happened to be one of the people who got invited to do it. A lot has actually happened. I won some awards, got some more ribbons. I'm actually sure that by my junior year I should be ranking as a major.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I got over 1,000 interviews on my channel, and this is probably like one of the most special, I think, for me that I get to do. The relationship that me and your father had.
Yes.
So we've been talking about doing this interview ever since he passed.
Yes, we have.
And I've been putting it off. Maybe, I don't know why, but like, I'm the type of person that if something bad happens, I sort of don't like to talk about it. You know what I mean? Which I know isn't good, but I've been putting it off, and then I seen a post that your mom made during the week, and I was like, all right, I need to, go and do this. I think, I know that there's so many people on the channel that would love to hear from you. When I first told them, look, we're gonna end up doing an interview, a lot of people were interested, and a lot of people, still speak about your father and bring him up. Talk to me a little bit about the relationship you had with your father.
It was a bit rocky. When I first met my father, I was still in 4th grade. He had just come out of prison, and my mom was just introducing me to him. So it was a bit all over the place. I didn't know who he was at first. But soon he started taking me out to places where we could get along, know each other, and then my parents dropped the bombshell that he was my father, and it was emotional for me, I got to meet my first father, like my first real interaction with my father, and he's my actual father, not my stepfather.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go everywhere with him. I wanted to get to know him, do a lot of things, and while he was sober, he was the best man I knew. Every Saturday and Sunday, no matter where I was, he would come pick me up. We'd go out to see a movie. He'd take me out to eat. I loved eating. Mm-hmm. I loved going to IHOP and the buffet with him, But Malo, I gotta save some of this money, so please don't do all that. But he would still do it. He loved me. I was his little girl.
Of course.
When he got back into the substance use, I still the relationship started getting more rocky because I stopped seeing him after a while because I didn't know where to look for him. He had just disappeared out of my life and I didn't know what happened. I didn't push on the subject because I didn't feel it was right for me to push on the subject. I just asked my mom one question: where did my dad go? She tried her best to tell me the truth, but keeping me sheltered from it because she didn't want me to see my father like that. But, you know, people were telling my mom she has to see it for herself. So we went looking for him, and that's when we found him. He was high. I didn't know what to think of it. I never seen my father like that. It was completely new to me. But even with my father being the way he was, I made it an effort to still look for him because he was my father. I loved him. I wanted to make sure he was okay because I know the streets of Philly, they're not that kind to these type of people. And I've been through a lot with my father. You know, I would be on calls with my siblings we are related by our father. They have a different mother from me, Justin and Luann. I would talk to them over the phone and they would ask me how dad was doing. I'll tell them, you know him, he's still in the streets, but I'm making an effort to go out and make sure he's okay because that's my dad. I love him. I may not have known him for long, but that's my father.
Yeah.
And I remember when stuff really hit the fan that he told me he would try and get help, you know? But when I went looking for him, I found him high in that church down on Kensington. And it was kind of like, I snapped, you know? I yelled at my father. I was like, you're not my father. You're not the same man I knew. You're a fucking disappointment. And with that, I walked out. I didn't make it an effort to apologize to my mom for the language I used and how I talked to my father. But my mom made it clear that I had every right to be upset. And I knew I had every right. But even with everything that happened, I still looked for him because that was my dad. Stuff started to get more crazy with my siblings coming down to wanting to take him off the streets of Philly. And he left on a bit of a rocky note because, you know, my father, he was the type of man who he wouldn't go down without a fight, you know? So he was battling us the entire time we were trying to get him off the streets. It was like every single time we brought him in, he found a way to get back out. It was so funny. You know, it took me, my mom, my two siblings, and his other baby mother for him to realize that he had to do something. But I still loved him. I loved the fact that he still tried to call me. Even when he was high, he tried his best to be the best father he could be. He would call me off of a random phone that he found. He'd be like, yo, how's the nana? Can I talk to the nana? He called at like random hours in the morning. It's 6 o'clock that morning and you're calling. My mom was like, Louis, it's 6 o'clock. What do you want? He's like, I want to talk to the nana. She's like, Lucy, wake up. And I just got like, hi, Dad. What do you need? He's like, I want to check on you. After Christmas, actually, he called my mom. He was like, I'm on Allegheny. Can you bring the nana? I got some stuff for her. And my mom was like, okay, Lucy, get dressed. We're going to go see your father. He gave me a crumpled up $20 bill, a cat piano for a baby, and clothes that didn't fit me. It was from the heart, so I took it. My mom was like, we got to disinfect the dollar, but it's money.
Yeah.
But I still find it endearing that he thought about me, you know, because he could have easily used that money to go and get high, but something in him was like, no, this is for my little girl. I'm going to give it to my little girl. I was his baby. He loved me, you know?
And you know that, right?
Yeah.
All right. And I'm sure you do. But you were literally one of the most important things in his life, something that he talked about a lot, you know, and you're very, very, very special and important to him. I'm glad that you know that. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, while he was out in Florida, I kind of lost contact with him, but I made an effort to try and contact him through my sister because I knew he was staying with my sister at the time. So my thing was, if I could get through my sister, I could get to him. But it was a bit rocky. My sister, I mean no disrespect to my sister, I love her a lot, but I feel as though she made things kind of difficult. And not difficult in the sense that she was purposely doing it, but she didn't know what she was getting into when she took my dad into Florida. Because he made it an effort to try and get a job, but at the same time, you know, drugs are a powerful thing, and he was somehow getting his hands on them. And I think he ended up ditching my sister from the motel. I'm not sure. But he ended up living on the streets of Florida. And that was way worse than being in Philly. He doesn't know anybody over there. And my sister did end up leaving Florida, leaving him alone. I could not, for the life of me, get into contact with my father after my sister left. And it was a little heartbreaking because, I wanted to see how he was doing, how he was trying to help himself, how he was doing, if he had stopped using the drugs and he was trying to get his life back on track. But I couldn't contact him because there was no one there who I could contact to get to him, and he didn't have a phone. Then the news came that my father was hit by a car, and I happened to be outside when it happened. Well, not outside. I was in the room upstairs, and how ridiculous is it that I didn't even get a phone call? I got a text message from my sister saying our father got hit by a car, and I broke down. I fell to my knees right there, and I couldn't function properly, and my mom was trying to figure out what's wrong with me, and I said, my father, he got hit by a car, and no one's there to help him, and I just got a text message. They didn't even think to call me, and, it all started there. We had to find a way to help him. He was taken to a hospital. I'm pretty sure he was known as a John Doe because he didn't have any identification on him. When they called us saying that due to the damage he has sustained to his brain, that he could legally be considered brain dead, I knew there and then that I had to make that trip down to my father to say my last goodbye. My mom and a friend of hers made it possible for me to go down there to visit him one last time. And I made it an effort to call my sister who couldn't make it down to Florida, so she could also talk to him, even if it was through the phone. My brother could not make it at the time because he was dealing with his own problem. My brother, he's different from us. He didn't have that relationship with our father, but it was still there. I know it was because he loved him. And my brother gets upset. He shuts down emotionally. He'll cut contact and try to focus on himself before he can actually get something done. So we were in the hospital, and I'm laying in the bed with my father. The nurses are talking to my mom saying that has to be my final goodbye because there was no way that my father was going to survive. And I said my goodbyes. I talked to him. I expressed my love for him. I said, I got to let you go now because I know that you're suffering. It's time I let you go. I want to hold you close so bad. I want to love you. I want to hold you. I want you to be there to watch me grow, but I'm pretty sure God had other plans, and it was time for me to let him go. I let him go. We left Florida. And then a freaking week later, the people call like, your father opened his eyes. There's a chance. We hung on to that chance of hope, and it led us to where we were today. My sister took priority of him. She was supposed to take care of him, make decisions for him since he couldn't make decisions on his own. We learned that she put a password or a lock on my father where no one could go visit him. And it took us so long to try and go visit him. We didn't get any updates on him or anything. As far as we knew, he was still in the same condition. Then we started planning my Sweet 16 because it was October 3rd, my birthday, and we were talking about how, yes, my Sweet 16 is going to be amazing, this, that, all of this. And no sooner than that happened, we get a call from the hospital, and they're like, the hospital didn't call us. My mom called the caseworker. She wanted an update on my father. And the caseworker was like, yes, I'm so glad that you called because we were thinking of going to court to get custody over Louis because nothing has changed. No one's making decisions for him and he's here alone. And mom was like, no, I'm going to contact her son. I'm going to contact the son so he can make decisions for him. And they didn't even know that me and my brother existed. So them finding out that he had other children was a shock. But me and my brother made an effort to go down to Florida. My sister couldn't come. She didn't have the money to come. So me and my brother, we sat in a hospital with my father, and they were discussing the only option that we had, the only two options we had, which was put him in hospice or just take him back with us and take care of him until he dies. Me and my brother had a talk in the room, and I told my brother, look, you're the only one who's listening to me right now because I feel like because I'm the youngest of the children, I'm a minor still, no one's listening to what I have to say because they think that what I'm saying is it doesn't matter.
how did that make you feel?
It was irritating because
Yeah.
I'm still his child and I deserve to have a say in what's going on. I'm his next of kin.
Yeah.
And sure, my siblings are older than me in the sense that they're now like adults and they can make decisions, but I still deserve a say in what happens, you know? I feel as though I was the only one who was thinking logically in that situation. I had said it from the start. We need to let him go because if he's legally considered brain dead, there's no hope for him. He needs to be let go so we can stop his suffering because he's obviously in pain. Mm-hmm. But no one listened to what I had to say, so I let my sister take control. I figured she knew what was best. She's my sister. She's the oldest of us. She'll know what to do. And then that led us to where we were today.